May I have your attention, please?
It's Markers and Monsters Drawlloween 2017.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to Markers and Monsters, where today we're talking about, of course, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is another great episode dealing with a very famous horror literature, which is also horror movies, which has pretty much insinuated itself into all elements of pop culture. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you guys are not familiar with this, you might have been living under a rock for a while. It's one of the most famous horror stories ever told, kind of like Dracula and Frankenstein in that respect. Now, this story was initially written by Robert Louis Stevenson, all the way back in 1886, and has been immensely popular since then. It's still popular to this day. You see film adaptations, maybe not direct adaptations of the novel, but that same theme, the duality of man, somebody making a formula that can transform them into, from a good person into an evil person. It's all over the place, guys. Today we're focusing on the 1931 film, which stars Frederick March as both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, of course. Great film. While, again, it's not the perfect adaptation of the novel in terms of its plot, it captures the spirit very well. And it also has incredibly good black and white photography. Frederick March's performance is amazing. It actually earned him an Academy Award, which is pretty great. Great special effects, makeup, everything is just terrific in this adaptation. So that's the 1931 version, and that was put out by Paramount Pictures. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. If you're unfamiliar with the story, of course, Dr. Jekyll is a good-natured doctor, pretty much, who believes that within each person there is both good and evil. Everybody has a good side and a bad side, and if he feels if he could somehow separate the two, he'd be a much better person overall, either removing the bad side from himself or allowing the bad impulses a way to come out for a while in like a safe environment so that they can be like excised from his personality. This does not go according to plan. The formula he mixes up transforms the kindly doctor into the evil Mr. Hyde, who has very little impulse control, no remorse whatsoever. He beats people, he lies, cheats, steals, all that kind of stuff. He is no good. And unfortunately, the doctor soon finds out that his formula has an effect where he actually eventually doesn't need to take the formula. He just transforms into him naturally. Now that's kind of more made up for the films, but that's one of those things. He just can't control it. But that is a great aspect of the story that the films have introduced. Also, in the 31 movie, you really have to see the makeup effects where Frederick March changes from Jekyll into Hyde. Check it out on YouTube. I'll see if I can find a link to a video clip of this, but it is amazing. Great special effects. For years, it had been kind of a secret how they did it. It's in a weird way, they put makeup for Mr. Hyde already on the actor. And through strange makeup formula and lighting techniques, it was hidden. So the makeup's on him, but the lighting makes it look like he's just normal. And what they did is as they dim and change the lights, the makeup looks like it's appearing on his face. Really amazing, really incredible. And great special effects there, I gotta say, guys, I gotta say. The look of Hyde in this movie, too, is another highlight. He's very hairy, he's ape-like, and again, Frederick March's performance completely changes. From the mild-mannered doctor, he becomes almost like an ape-man. He's jumping around, swinging on things, hooting and hollering, just being really wild and crazy. Really terrific performance, and very much worth checking out. Now, there's a lot of weird versions of Jekyll and Hyde out there. There's Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, which is a Hammer movie where he becomes, when he becomes Mr. Hyde, he becomes an evil seductress woman. That's always a fun one. There's also a version like that from the 90s, I remember, called Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, which is very weird. But yeah, this is all over the place, and Dr. Jekyll has been played by so many people. Frederick March, of course. Christopher Lee famously played him in the film I, Monster. So, terrific story, and I'm glad to be doing a drawing of it today. Now, let's take a look here at the scan real quick. That's awesome. I love that nice warm gray that I used to do the black and white. Kind of reminds me of like old film stock, and that's the look I was going for. I think it turned out lovely. I'm happy to talk about this kind of stuff, and I've been having a great Drawlloween. And guys, we are rapidly approaching the end of the month here. By the time you're watching this, I'll probably be at the Living Dead Fest in Evans City, but that goes all the way through the weekend. So if you're in Evans City, come check me out, October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Good times. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for another great episode.